Next, Andre Ebanks, head of the Cayman Islands Government Office in the UK. Andre.
Good afternoon to you, Peter, and good day to the listening audience on virtual platform. It's an honor and privilege to speak on behalf of the Cayman Islands, so thank you very much. Before getting into the substantive discussion, I thought I'd say a quick word about Cayman because I didn't want to presume that the entire audience knew exactly even where Cayman is. So with a strong seafaring tradition and a pioneering spirit, 3 small islands, Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman, in a few decades, just being 1-hour flight south of Miami, transformed into a modern, vibrant financial services and tourism sector and destination, and achieved relatively significant market share, and due in no small part to our well-developed infrastructure, modern technology, sound law and order, and a Cayman-kind culture that grew the population pre the pandemic to about 70,000, with about over 130 nationalities. A really strong community with a deep bench of high world-class professionals in a wide range of specialist areas. So going on to the topic, I was been 2 minds about this discussion all week long. And there's probably 100 rabbit holes you could go down talking about Brexit. So I kind of thought to myself, how could I convey on behalf of Cayman in about 7 minutes an illustration of how, with the support of Britain, to recalibrate the relationships not only with the EU, as the question asked, in the wider world, and Britain itself. And it didn't really all come together for me until the prior panel for this conference, which was entitled Islands Response to the COVID Pandemic. And I think as an illustration of the COVID response, at least from Cayman's perspective, encapsulates the essence of the opportunity that I really think lies ahead. So from where I sit in London, I witnessed an extraordinary partnership between Cayman, our sister OTs, and the UK in response to COVID. And I want to take a moment to go a little bit deeper than just the headlines of the PPE that was delivered, the test kits, the evacuation flights, to really draw out the human element that came about. So during the lockdown, particularly between late March and June, what was on full public view for Caymanians and Cayman residents to see was a highly coordinated, caring, careful, hands-on melt all barriers approach between the UK and Cayman to get things done and preserve life. And due to that fact, I feel that certain bonds of trust and fellowship have been established that won't soon be forgotten. And I believe that in that spirit, it helped and probably brought about a statement by our governor, His Excellency Martin Roper, made at a local Cayman press briefing on the 25th of August, so just last month. And I believe it was profound and worth repeating, so I'm going to just read out the entire quote. As the UK hosts COP26 next year in Glasgow, a pivotal moment in the world's response to climate change, I'm talking to the Premier and Minister Seymour, which is our environmental minister, about developing a closer Cayman-UK compact, setting out where we can cooperate. This once-in-a-century health crisis is a once-in-a-century opportunity to reshape the world our children will inherit. Cayman should be a part of that. We shouldn't waste it. What I extrapolate from that is no matter what form Brexit takes, if the UK, Cayman, and the OTs get together and strive towards collective prosperity, I believe we have strong prospects. So the overarching opportunity that Brexit and environmental action presents in the midst of COVID is to harness the bonds forged through this pandemic to build a meaningful forward of what exactly Global Britain means and what it means we are as a family. And a few early seeds have been planted in Cayman. I mentioned COP26 and working in partnership with the UK to agree achievable environmental priorities and identify some of the funding streams that my colleague Benito and fellow panelists mentioned a few moments ago, exploring ways in which the London financial services industry can work closely with Cayman's financial services industry through organizations such as City of London Corporation and others. And perhaps for Cayman, developing a niche area in which we may be one of the domiciles of choice for environmental social governance investment vehicles. Climate actions are going to cost money. Cayman has mastered putting together well-regulated investment funding vehicles and getting them to market efficiently. That could be one of our global contributions to green and blue finance efforts. Consideration and explore whether or not the Paris Agreement should be extended to the OT should be in contemplation. And on a domestic front, in closing, Cayman took the COVID lockdown period to do some think time and created a strategic economic advisory council to explore a variety of initiatives in terms of advancing renewable energy, diversifying our data services, fostering digital payments. So I suppose what I'm saying is, yes, you could look around and see that the forecast looks stormy, but I believe that through this pandemic, there are rays of light that we should capture on and really make global Britain mean something. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Andre. That's great.